You don't want the woman. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. Glad you can make it out here. I'm Nathan. Got a little bit of a topic today about getting started in reloading and what that means to you, and maybe talk a little bit about our own experiences. We got JH586 with us, as well as Chico Wise and the illustrious Kyle Lusk. We've invited a couple more people. I don't know if we're going to have anybody else come in, but we're glad that everybody could make it. And we'll go around the room and talk about what we've been up to, and we'll get started.
Go, Chico.
Yeah, sure. Hey, guys. I'm having camera problems. There we go. Hey, thanks for being here. Hey. Yes, thanks for being here. Sorry, I'm a little late having camera problems, but I guess we'll get into that discussion on, I guess, our own personal experiences of why we got into reloading or why should you reload. So thanks for being here, and I'm interested and curious and excited about getting into this subject or topic.
Chico, you look like you got a lot better lighting going on tonight. Did you do something different, or?
I did. I took some advice from one of my channel members who's on this panel that I know he uses light. So that's what I was trying to set up.
Well, it looks good, man. I can see a little bit better, and you look more illuminated for darn sure.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
So I don't know if that omelet's down yet. So Jamie, what you got going on?
I am searching through stuff at the moment here. I keep getting. I finally got all my. I hope I've got all of my Christmas cards in, but I got this one from Oceans. Oceans, thank you, brother. Hey yourself, and it had a Oceans 374 sticker inside. I also have one from, of course, I've already told y'all about all the others, but I also got one from New York City Reloader, and he sent me another sticker, one of his fabulous stickers also I was proud to get. So I got 2 New York City Reloaders, and it was a pleasure to have him on last week. Didn't y'all think?
Absolutely.
And
it's always nice when anybody wants to come in and be on the team and visit us. I always enjoy it.
It's hard for me to comprehend people want to join us in the panel and actually watch what we got to talk about. That's amazing to me. Thanks, everybody in the chat room, for being here tonight. We appreciate it. And with that, we'll see what Mr. Kyle's got going on.
Yes, the illustrious omelet is gone, and it was fantastic. Hello and good evening, everybody. Glad y'all could all come out here and just join us, because we really do use this as a little weekly venting episode, and we got some pretty good topics coming up tonight, and I'm just glad to be here.
Absolutely, brother. We've got a few people here on the side chat already. We got 32 viewers. Wow, guys, thanks for coming out. Crazy Scotsman, Loaded Cap Gun, Insight, Freedom Signal Soldier 31. If you guys remember, he was the one that came on and told us about the Lyman All-American 8. Eagle Eye Shooting, Cranky Cletus, MCK, Ocean 374, Uncle Jim. Hey, brother, I don't know how, but I totally missed your Foxtrot Mike video on the lower until today. It just cropped up all of a sudden. So it was a day late. It showed up on my notifications. So I don't know what's going on with that. Vanessa Kitty in the side chat, Thomas Pickering, SKS Hugo. I don't think we've talked before. Glad you can make it. Roland Alexander, nice to see you. Big Al, I hope you're doing all right. Got Gary Metzner, what is going on? William C. Chapin, Sean Tierney, Duckville, Missouri, the illustrious or the mysterious Duckville, Missouri. And loads of bacon. Hey, man, what's going on? And let's see if we got anybody else here. Andre D'Angelo, another person I don't think we've talked to. So, and Disposable 762. And Guys, I appreciate everybody coming out. It's Good Friday night to you. You know, this week really got away from me because the way it worked out with the first. So I didn't end up going back to work till Wednesday, and then all of a sudden Friday snuck right up on me. Didn't even know what was going on. We finally got our NOE sizing bullet sizer that was holding us up. So Loaded Cap Gun was over here just loading away 9 mils. She got almost 100 done by the time we started the chat. So that's been about really what I've gotten done loading wise this week. I haven't got a lot of loading done for sure. But what about you guys? You get anything interesting done this week?
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I've switched my press back to from 45 to 9mm because I was running low, and I guess that's one of the benefits of being a reloader. You know, you don't have to run out to the store and purchase ammo. I just swap a few things over and just start cranking stuff out. But that's what I've been doing, running a lot of 9mm and enjoying it while I'm doing it. And I'm kind of not dreading, but I am dreading going back to work because I've been off for like a week. So that'll be a challenge or different for me. So that's it, guys, for me. What about you, Kyle?
I've been doing a little bit of casting and powder coating and resizing. What I haven't been doing is being able to get some boxes stuffed and get them out. Those of you who know that it's coming, it's coming. I got everything sized and all that tonight. I just got to shove the boxes in there and go to the post office. It's been busy at work. I took several days off and I got back to work, and apparently nobody can do anything when I'm not there. So I spent Wednesday and Thursday fixing what happened over the last 5 days. And today I was just so tired, I just want to take a nap.
So can I answer a question out there?
Sure.
We've already got a Big Al already has some questions about full length sizing, so forth and so on. The way I see it, Big Al, is if you are reloading for a bolt action rifle, then you can save that brass and only bump the shoulder back, only neck size it. Everything else needs to be full length sized. And then if you neck size it, it needs to be designated after you get them loaded up for that particular rifle. Am I correct, guys?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
it's good for that chamber.
Right. That's why you only neck sizing that, because it's fire formed at that point to that chamber.
And some rounds really require it. And I know, I don't think Big Al shoots 303 Brit, or I haven't seen him, but anything that has kind of a springy action to it, like a 303 Brit does, if you neck size, your brass life will go from 5 or 6 loadings to almost indestructible if you do a good job of kneeling. So that can make a heck of a difference. And it can also do something for in my opinion, I think it does something for consistency and accuracy as well.
So with that being said, if I've got some 8mm Mauser brass from my buddy Curtis, and I've thrown them in this bag, which I use to lube. So you're going to have to lube them. So I've got this lube right here that I made up, and I'm just going to spritz them once or twice. And then we'll talk about sizing if y'all want to after we get to our predetermined and pre-announced topic. So what I did, Al, is I just sprayed that lube in there, and then I'm going to shake them up a little bit. And while we're talking about the topic that we have already determined, I'm going to be reading the instructions to this RCBS full-length sizing guide, and I'll tell Mr. Big Al how it comes out.
Well, the theory behind neck sizing only is all the brass is shot out of the same rifle. the cases have already expanded to the chamber, so you're going to have minimum fluctuation in pressure spikes. So if you're only shooting the brass out of your rifle, only neck size, then you can custom bump the shoulder, and then throughout the rest of your reloading process, set the exact same tension and everything else, and you won't have pressure spikes or valleys. If the case was size too small, you're going to have a pressure valley when it's supposed to be coming up. It's not going to come up as quick because the case is expanding to meet the chamber, and then you're going to have a spike, and that's what causes inaccuracy.
Right, but I'm going to be full length 3 sizing this brass because it was not shot out of my rifle.
No, right. I understand that. I was talking to Big Al.
Right, and that's another thing I wanted to tell Big Al to make him understand. We don't know whose rifle this was shot out of, so to make sure, I'm going to full length 3 size it, which is going to set it back to the, what do you call it, Nathan? Sammy minimum chamber.
Well, yeah, it's supposed to be minimum chamber. I've heard of it. I've heard of 8mm Mausers specifically not always being absolutely right. So, yeah. We got another question out there from Vanessa Kitty talking about benches and a solid steel. Kyle's is solid steel. Mine's wood. You can go back and watch my videos. I don't recommend doing what I did. It's unbelievably sturdy. It's just expensive and time consuming, more so than needs to be. I had a plywood bench for a very, very long time. I mean, very long time. Just a 3/4 inch piece of furniture grade oak plywood, and it was framed out and everything. There was I don't know if I ever I'm sure I shot some videos with that bench, and I had a metal plate that I drilled the mounting holes for my press in, and I never had a minute's trouble with that. I didn't have flexing problems. The only thing I did have is that the bench was never bolted to the floor, so if you got something that was hard to extract, you sometimes could pick the bench up a little bit.
I don't have that problem.
Yeah, you don't have that problem. And with my plywood, I did have one 2x4 stringer that ran across the length of it to keep it from bowing in the center a little bit. That was it. And it worked out really well. So I think you can go as complicated as you want, like me and Kenny's bench, or as unbelievably erector set as Kyle's. It just depends on what you want to do.
And if you've got a friend with some extra steel laying around and a welder and wants to make a couple of bucks, I highly recommend it, but you better have some help getting it into the house. This thing weighs, no doubt, about 550, 600 pounds.
Yeah, your bench is insane. I remember, some of those first videos, when we're talking about that. I mean, your bench it's not moving. The whole house will be down after a tornado, but that thing will sit there.
It's 1/4 inch steel plate all the way to the wall, and I don't know what 3.5 by 7, maybe something like that. And there's 1/8 inch angle iron all the way around it with 2-inch quarter wall tubing for legs that are welded to each other at the bottom. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So Vanessa says, so a 2-inch thick maple strip top would be good. The top is strops of glued maple at about 6 feet long. Yeah, that's probably going to make a very sturdy base. You got to remember that the glue puts in basically more rigidity and structure than the maple really even does. One of the things I would consider doing is setting your bench height to where you can use an inline fab mount. I really do like them. They work really well, especially if you get a good roller handle on it and it moves everything up. And when you have that inline fab brace, it just becomes very, 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 very sturdy. That top should be fine. Taco, Full Lead Taco, if you remember, we had him on about a month and a half ago. His are all made out of doors. They're solid oak doors. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It's about, 1.5 inches thick. So that should be plenty. Mine's 4 inches thick because I got 2x4s stacked up, one next to another, next to another. But a lot of that was actually stripped down to 2 inches. So it's fine. That'll be good. What else we got out here, folks? My local wood supplier has it about half off. Yeah, that'd be fine. For me anyway, I think that would be fine. And the bench height at sitting level, yeah, the bench height sitting level, that's the way mine is. It's a mess, by the way, super mess. But mine's at sitting level for this part, and then I have a taller section over there that's more for working on guns and or, as you see, sewing. I don't know if Uncle Jim can see this, but there's the curtains. They're finally the right length. He gave me crap about that a long time ago, man. It always stuck with me because I did all this work on this room, and the first thing Uncle Jim says, not nice paint. Hey, that looks great. Nope. It's like, hem those damn curtains, boy. But yeah, man, I like sitting as well. I know a lot of reloaders that don't. They swear to standing, but I like sitting. I know Jamie sits, Kyle sits. Chico seems to sit when he reloads as well.
I stand.
I sit or stand, depends on what I'm doing.
Yep.
And you know what? And probably if I didn't have this inline fabrication mount, I don't know if y'all can see it. So it's the bottom of my press is shoulder level with me, and the chair that I'm sitting in is a chair that goes to like a high top table. So I'm not sitting in a small chair. My bench sits about 32 to 36 inches, I forget, and mine is. I'd show you guys, but it's a mess. It's worse than Nathan's. Nathan's talking about his is a mess. My whole bench is a mess, and it's just a Craftsman toolbox type deal. It's like a workbench, and I got it for free from the job. A guy was retiring. He's like, "You want that?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, thank you." So,
yeah.
I was trying to get one of our old mechanics. He bought a new toolbox and just had his old one sitting there. I'm like, you need to sell me that. What do you want for it? He goes, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to mount presses all over the top of it and use the drawers to hold bullets and gunpowder.
Yeah. Crazy Scotsman says
it was a Snap-on box about as big as my table here. And
yeah.
like, oh, I just want to keep
it. Of course he does. Yeah, Scotsman says he stands, but, he's 6'13", so, yeah.
Right.
Of course he stands. Loads of Bacon says he's a stander as well. Like I said, I started on my dad's stuff, and it was all sit down, and that's what I got used to. But I wanted to have a stand up bench as well, so that's why mine's at two different heights. And technically, I mean, with the way I've got mine set up, I can stand up and reload even at my sitting because I use the inline fab mounts. Now pre-flab, I'll tell you one that I wanted for a while. I was thinking that I might take and get one of the Harbor Freight ones, the general toolbox that's got the wood top on it. Mm-hmm. And I was going to use that. And then they discontinued the one with the wood top. Now they're back to selling all of them. They got different colors. I don't know. I still want, there's like a side cabinet I want for tool storage in here, but.
Can they get powder coat yellow to stick?
Heck no. But their toolboxes, dude, they've got yellow. I don't know if you've seen this, if you've been in there, but they've got the red, of course. Now they've got yellow, green, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty looking. And those boxes are nice. They're a surprisingly very well built still. The ones a couple years back were way good built. These that they're making now.
They're up to 42. Did y'all see that?
Holy crud. Well, hi, everybody. Nice to see it. Everybody's bored. That must be what's going on.
No football game tonight.
Yeah, exactly. No football. Everybody's bored trying to figure out what to do. Hey, Tread, how's it going, brother? And Uncle Jim, I'm not a seamstress. I'm a steamster, I think. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Remember, Sylvester Stallone turned out to be a seamstress in was it Demolition Man? That one? Yeah, I think it was.
He was a half-ass seamstress in Rambo. He seamed himself back up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, howdy, East Coast brother. Hey, Coates Brothers Firearms. Glad to see you, brother.
I didn't even see him pop in.
Just did. And Joe Rash. That's an interesting name, man. If that's your real name, I'm sorry to kind of make your name into a pun, but, it kind of came out. Anito, good to see you. I think I saw one of your comments the other day, and I believe Argentina, I think is what you said. So glad to see you, man. Powder handling, bar height with eye level of scale. Yes, dude, that is like the William C. Chapin way of reloading. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I think one time he kind of showed off his bench area, and he's got his scale sitting perfectly right at eye level with a magnifying glass right there. I was like, man, that's amazing. Mine's down here. I got to stoop down and get a neck crick, slip a disc before I can actually get in there and see what's going on. So I tried to build a little stand, but it was just rickety and messy. So I'm gonna have to do that again sometime.
Yeah, he does. That's awesome. He just sit there.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody else has got
Was that the video where he was playing? It was like the soft music. He didn't say nothing in it, and I was like, I enjoyed watching that video. I seen it with the magnifying glass, and he was doing loads for something, and I was like, man, that I think I watched it twice because I was like, that's so interesting, and just, no words needed, just showing you the process of his process. And I was like, that's pretty cool. You talking about Curtis, right?
Yeah, Curtis has done a lot of those ones where it's just some decent music. It's kind of calming and relaxing, but at the same time, somehow or another, still informative.
It's like elevator music, right? If you know what I mean. It's just the calm music, but then you see the process, and I was like,
yeah, but he's not rocking.
I'm gonna do some videos. I'm gonna do some videos like that. Quiet.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't think I could pull it off. I think Curtis knows a lot about that kind of stuff and has a good eye for it that I don't have. Like my videos are almost always a mess in my opinion, and then I edit stuff and it's like less of a mess, and I hope that nobody gets mad at me. I mean, he seems to actually have a plan and know what he's doing, and I know I appreciate it.
Well, shall we start talking about the topics that we were going to talk about, or we want to just?
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll get back around. Jamie was talking about something about Case Lube. He was wanting to talk about that a little bit.
No, man, I've already talked about that. I made the Case Lube I have is just the regular thing that all you guys already mix up, the lanolin and heat, 100% alcohol. It's 10 parts alcohol, 1 part lanolin, and we just shake it up. We've talked about that several times on here. But I lubed them up, and one thing I didn't do that you should do, Big Al, is he wants me to show one. I've already lubed them all up and sized them all. But basically all you do, Al, is lube them up and then run them through your full-length sizer die. And follow your instructions on the die. The die set will come with some instructions. Read those instructions and follow those, and you won't mess it up. But once you get them sized, and you're not going to be able to look at them and tell any different, really, unless you try to stick a bullet down in there. But you just put it in there and run the ram up, and then you got to clean that lube off. And what I learned something from Josh 243 Outdoors that one of those microfiber cloths work real well for doing that, unless you want to go to all the trouble to run them back through your tumbler again, which a lot of guys do. But we wanted to talk tonight about Mr. Chico Wise was in charge of come up with our topic for tonight, and it was about why should I start reloading? So why don't you answer that question for us, Chico?
Sure. I can definitely. I'll give you my opinion on it and on why I did it. So me, probably just like a lot of you guys, I shoot a lot. And unfortunately, even though I'm a deal seeker, I find ammo deals, but sometimes those deals run out. And I started thinking and contemplating, say, what if I'm not able to purchase this ammo like I normally find it, And for the last 2 years before I started reloading, I started looking into reloading. And my first instinct, my first regular common mind said, you're going to blow yourself up. Because that's what you hear when I ask somebody, hey, what do you think about this? They're like, oh, it's dangerous. It is dangerous, man. Life is dangerous, but if you follow the specific steps. So the reason why I did it, it was for being able to shoot more, not necessarily save money, but that was in the back of my mind, like save money, you know. So a lot of people tell you you're not going to save money because you're going to acquire more stuff, but it's a 50-50 deal. If you're only loading one caliber, yeah, you're going to save money, but I'm able to probably load a box of ammo probably at half the price what it takes me to purchase it. So if it takes me $10 to buy a box of 9mm, I'm probably reloading it for $5.
And that's 9mm, which is
and
like
that's 9
the
mil.
least
Correct
difference that you're gonna find.
And I've got some other calibers, so I was like, you know, down the road, I'm probably gonna save more money. So that's why I did it. And I just, you know, more than anything, I was thinking about the safety of it. I'm safe when I'm doing it. I'm asking questions. You guys know, and even the side chat, I may ask the same question twice or 3 times. That's just because I want to be safe. You know, I like all my digits and that's and my eyes. So that's why I got into it. That's kind of why I came up with the topic. And I hope you guys understand that. I'm still learning. I'm not a professional at all. I'm safe, and I'm taking my time with everything I learn. So that's kind of why I got into it, for cost savings, and I shoot a lot of ammo. In any given week on my lunch, I get an hour for lunch. I go to the shooting range just like 2 miles away from my job. I'll shoot 200 rounds in a week, and people was like, that's a lot. I say it can be a lot, you know, if you're purchasing ammo. So that's why I started doing it.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has a specific reason why they get into it. One of the things I always liked was trying to tell people or give people ideas of reasonings to do it, right? Like, I've got my own personal reasons why I started reloading, but they're going to be different than everybody else's. But when you're talking in general to the public, like, why should, you know, Dana Smith over here start reloading? And I always take it as like, how much do you actually shoot? And how much do you like to tinker with shit?
Mm-hmm.
If you're somebody who does not like to tinker with stuff, that likes things like, if you like your entire life to be like a MacBook, reloading's probably not your animal. But if you like to tinker with stuff and you shoot a lot, those are the 2 key things for me. To identify somebody who could enjoy or would be interested in reloading. Or you like to collect stuff, which is another weird thing. But what about you, Kyle? Why'd you start reloading?
Hang on, I'm trying to defeat autocorrect at the moment.
Good luck, God bless.
I started shooting a lot, and then I gained access to a lot of property. And through that, I trained a little bit and started getting to where I felt comfortable shooting steel challenges and, you know, some small matches around town and around the county and stuff. And started noticing that I'm going through some ammo. And like Chico, I'd go to Walmart and look around for the sales and not buy it until it was on sale. And when it was on sale, I'd buy it. And I was like, you know, kind of really might want to look into this reloading thing. So I started watching videos and Fortune Cookie and Elvis and Bacon and, you know, and I was like, well, okay. I started adding up everything, what it was going to cost and this, that, and the other. And a buddy of mine got a 500 Smith & Wesson that he got on a steel, and he went and shot it and liked it, and then went to try to buy ammo for it and went, oh my God. So he started talking with me, and before you know it, me and him pretty much went in halvesies on a melting pot, a couple of molds, you know, stuff like that. I bought a press. Of course, the first press I bought was a Dillon. Not like Chico. He's rolling the dough. I got a 550.
So does he.
He's got a 650.
And a 550 that don't.
I'm waiting on my buddy to come pick it up. He need to come on.
But we found out that we could reload like 9mm for 7 cents a round, maybe, and 3 cents of it's the primer.
Mm-hmm.
And the 500 Smith & Wesson, that's where the cost savings happened. I bought a Lee 2-cavity mold. Got a hold of some buddies of mine in the automotive industry and got a hold of some lead. And we started casting 500 Smith & Wesson bullets. He'd come over to my house on his way home from work. Actually, it's nowhere near on his way home. He'd just make a special trip. And we'd cast up 100, maybe 200 500 Smith & Wessons, and I'd cast up a bunch of 40 cals or whatever while the pot was hot. And he eventually got a reloading press, and I just relinquished the 500 Smith & Wesson bullets to him. And so he's started doing all that, and I started doing everything that I do, and the rest is history.
Yeah, man, it's always interesting because it's always slightly different. My deal was kind of interesting to me in that, like, I started when I was kind of young, but it wasn't my stuff, and it was just helping out Dad because he reloaded and casted a little bit. We didn't cast a ton, but I mean, we casted a little bit, and I just like the machinery, like stuff moving and like how's that work with this. And he had an All-American, a Lyman All-American, the old All-American. And so it was a turret press, and I got to see this move and that move, and then of course I would bend the primer arm or whatever because I don't know what I'm doing. And but I really enjoyed just kind of watching him, and then any bit that I could try to help every once in a while, I enjoyed that. But we were big into milsurps, and finding ammo for them isn't always the easiest thing or possible. Nowadays we can get a lot of stuff just online, but you know, in the 90s, you really couldn't get a lot of that stuff. So kind of reloading was the only way to go. And so I always liked reloading, but when I was in the service, I didn't do it because being in apartments and in and out and stuff like that. And I wasn't shooting as much. But Mom and Dad, I don't know exactly what gun or what I got. I think it might have been my 32 mag. I got a 32 mag, which isn't always easy to find ammo for. And they decided to buy me the Lee Challenger kit. And I was like, okay, all right, you know. And then finally I put all that stuff together. And what really got me rolling was 45 Colt. When I started shooting a lot of 45 Colt, and it's $50 a box, like very quickly, I came to adopt casting and reloading. And then I just started having so much fun doing it. And so the cost was something to do with getting started, but it's never been the thing that keeps me going. Because it's, you know, I've got more money in equipment and stuff like that. And then, you know, and I don't care. I don't even add it up. I like the tinkering. That's what keeps me into it. Load development, messing with stuff. I'm really looking forward to getting into some rifle work again. But what's that, Kyle?
I really love the tinkering too, but I actually did the math. And after buying all the components, even buying the bullets, I'm not talking about buying a mold and casting your own. After I loaded 1,000 rounds of 45, which didn't take long, I'd already paid for the press, the strong mount, the powder, the bullets. Every single penny of my investment had been more than paid for after reloading 1,000 rounds. And you can do that. You can do that in an evening if you mean it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Even 45 ACP and stuff. Like I've more than paid for my equipment. I just don't, you know what I mean? It's not. I don't think the cost save. Yeah, Loaded Capgun and I were talking about it because she was asking because it's $10 a box for 9mm for like some Remington UMC stuff. Dirty, man. That stuff's dirty. By the way, I cleaned her gun after we went shooting. That was some dirty stuff. People complain about Unique. Ain't got nothing on that shit. So she was asking about it, and I started doing like the quick math, and I figure I can load for about half. I can load for about $5 a box. And that's including my estimated cost of lead, powder, primer, you know, and actually probably even a little bit of fudge room. So cost is there, definitely. You save money, especially if you shoot a lot. But for me, I just like I like the actual act of casting my bullets and powder coating them and making my own ammo. And I know some people think that's kind of odd, but definitely is interesting to me.
It's very satisfying.
Where you saving lots of money is when you start reloading 30-aught 6 rounds for pennies on the piece. Yeah, there's quite a bit of powder in here. I got 3 cents in the primer. Let's see, I bought a box of 1,000 of these Sierra Match tip. What is it? Sierra Match Kings? Is that? Yeah, that's what they call them. Yeah, there's quite a bit of powder, but there's probably only, honestly, 45, 50 cents in each cartridge if you already had the brass. And they want $40 for a box of 20 at the store. Stuff's adding up quick.
Well, I mean, you look at the guys, Eagle Eye in West Desert Shooter and, some of the other guys that are doing long distance type shooting, 243 outdoors. It's not really possible to do without reloading. You're just not going to be able to get that kind of precision ammunition. There's even stuff that's for precision shooting that's not as good as what you can create at the house. So sometimes it depends on what your application is, if you're shooting, I don't know, 50 cal, Barrett's or something on the weekends. I mean, it's that ammo is ridiculous to get, and you can probably do a better job of it at the house.
You do a better job, but 50 cal reloading is still terrible because you only get about 7 or 8 shots out of a pound of powder.
I didn't say it was like an easy one. 45 Colt did it for me. When I was reloading rifle more often, when I was doing my 8mm Mauser load development stuff that finally I gave up on, the amount of rounds that I loaded, it's like, that would have been a lot of money, and being able to just kind of mess around with it. There's been rifles that I have seen that, and this is something I would say that's definitely interesting. If you mess with older rifles, or even, I don't know, even probably newer rifles, being able to change bullet shape and seating depth can have a dramatic difference on that performance of that rifle. I have seen where there was a period of time where every 303 Brit round that I saw on the shelf was a Spire Point or a Spitzer. Everyone. And my gun will not shoot them, at all. You would think that my gun was a minute of pie pan gun. Put around those 174 grain bullet, and it shrinks down to a MOA gun. That's a giant difference in performance because you get to choose what bullet and your seating depth. So I think that's kind of a big deal for me anyway.
Yeah, I see in the comments, Coach Brother Firearms, hey brother, he made a good point, and that kind of is relevant to what this is. He says he's a 338 Lapua. What do you say? A box for $100, 20 rounds. You're talking about $5 a bullet. So it definitely does. It makes up for stuff. I was just at the local academy, and they had what is that? The Hornady Black. It was $20 for a box of 20. For a 6.5 Creedmoor. And I was like, oh, no. I'm sure I can bring that cost down if I was loading for that, so that was my thing. Another thing for me, I have a younger child, and I was thinking, and I've heard about tuning that ammo to a shooter, whether it be 938 rifle. I know Brother Cranky's in the side chat, and his son, I know he tunes his ammo, what his son shoots for him out of a 30-30, if I'm not mistaken. So that interests me, and I'm a tinkerer, I'm a mechanic, so all that, the whole operation of the press, it just worked with what I had in mind. I was like, I maybe should get in this, because $200 a week shooting 9mm is, it can add up quick.
Well, just wait, because everything's fixing to go up, boys.
Right.
Maybe. Did you guys, I know this is a sidebar for Burnshaw, but did you guys hear about the crap over in Washington where they outlawed the selling of semi-automatic rifles to anyone under the age of 21, but then they didn't define what a semi-automatic assault weapon was until July. So it's like they don't actually apply the law until July. It's just such a what a bunch of ugh.
Bullshit. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
Yeah. Yeah. I probably shouldn't bring up politics because we know we all get dirty and we all get ugly. And all of us are in the same boat, so we'd all just sit here screaming at each other about how much we hate stuff. So it doesn't do a hell of a lot of good.
And you know, another thing about reloading our topic, if you guys go to Dylan website, they have a calculator. It's like a reloading cost calculator, and it'll tell you when you'll make your money back from your purchases. So if you just, like, for instance, you go in there, you say, how much do I get 1,000 primers for? You input that and how much the bullets are and how much the powder is and how many rounds you shoot a week or a month or whatever, or a year, that they'll add, and it'll tell you how long it'll take you to make money back or to pay for your press. Because you got to put that math in there. How much did your press cost? So if y'all go to Dylan, you know, just to play around with some numbers, you can kind of see around about when your press will be paid for. That's a little just a sidebar too.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing when you can actually look, you know, all your components and your equipment and see what you're gonna have in it as far as cost and time, and then load the rounds of ammo to pay for that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's going on there, Jamie?
Got some more tumbling. I'll tell you, I've always been interested in casting and reloading, but I never did it. Got a buddy of mine that our kids grew up together, and he's already passed on now, but he would sit there and reach in his pocket. He was a mechanic. He was a body man, and he was always picking up wheel weights and stuff. And he came over to the house, and we were out shooting 22s with the kids, or letting them shoot. And then we'd get where we would shoot at 50 yards and try to group our targets. And that Model 60 that I had, that Marlin Model 60, it would shoot really well at 50 yards. And anyway, he would sit there and build a little fire, and he had one of those lineman things, those lineman ladles, and he would just put a wheel weight in there and melt the lead in that wheel weight, pour it in a mold, and then in a few minutes he'd let it sit there and cool, and he would make a couple of rounds just like that, and then we'd shoot them right then and there as we were out shooting. So I was always interested in it, and of course I started shooting and hunting when I was 10 years old, and got into some competition shooting in the Scouts with the little 22 bolt action rifle single shot things. But I think what really kicked me over the edge to go in it like I am now was we were going to go shoot one day, and I was getting ready for hunting season, and I had a friend of mine that I go to church with stop by a gun shop, which is owned by another friend of ours that we go to church with. And I said, just pick me up a box of 35 Remingtons, and I'll pay you when we get to the range. Well, he gave me that box and the receipt, and it was tax and everything. It was just under $35. And when I had to pay $35 for 20 rounds of 35 Remington, that's when I did two things. I ordered my press kit, and I bought a 30-30 Marlin. And I thought, if I switched to 30-30 instead of 35s, I can pay for that, whatever I spend for the rifle, in about 10 or 20 boxes, you know. 30-30 is relatively cheap compared to $35 a pop for 20 rounds. But yeah, I think I've paid for my stuff pretty much. And the fun of it was when you can go pick up a bucket of wheel weights from a tire shop, and then in a couple of weeks go to the range with stuff that you made everything except the brass, and you put everything together. We don't make anything. We're just recyclers, really. But and you get some good prints on paper from stuff that you've done. That's when it really gets fun. When you've had a tough week at work, you can come in and go to your reloading room and just get all that crap off of your mind and stuff, because you got to focus on what you're doing, and it takes away that pressure. And like JCM 45 said earlier in the side chat, is fun, and that's part of what makes it so fun to me, is to be able to construct around, go print it on paper, and then and during that time you're detoxing, de-stressing. You're in your room and you've let all that stuff go. Do y'all find that to be true?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I like that feeling of that satisfaction of doing a job and doing it well, and it relaxes me and calms me down. Tinkering with anything usually does, unless something's fighting me. But
like a car or a truck.
See, I like working on cars, but the thing is, like, and this was a great example. My dad used to tell me this, that you don't want to work on other people's cars for a living. I didn't know what he meant until I started working in a garage when I was like 16, and I'm getting rust in my eyes, and it's just all this mess. I'm like, oh, I'm tired of working on other people's junk. That's when I started to get. I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't fun. But tinkering on my own stuff is always and I'm telling you, man, that's just. I agree with you. There is something very satisfying about making your own ammo and having that feeling of self-reliance. For me, it's big, man.
And I think that's part of what that self-reliant part, I think, is part of what people who are against us are against us. They want us to be dependent on everybody that can have a say-so in our lives. And that's what we're out to prevent, is other people telling us what and how to do stuff.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
Alan says listening to you calms him down, so that's good to know. Oh yeah, that's another one. I think JCM said something about it. I have found for me, and I don't know what exactly causes this, but if I can focus on something, like I'm reloading and I'm focusing right down on that, it has the effect of calming me down because I'm not thinking about anything else for that time period. I'm able to focus completely on what I'm doing. Where if I'm even just watching TV, I'm watching TV, I'm surfing the net, I'm looking at Slack because it's going off, I'm talking to her, I'm shooing the dogs off, I'm thinking about work. My brain is not chilling out at all. But if I get focused in on reloading and I get calm, that helps me a lot.
And that's what it's all about. We reload so we don't have a heart attack.
Dude, so Curtis says, Nathan, does woodworking relax you? It was super stressful for me when watching you do it. Man, I bet it was. I bet it was super stressful watching me do it. Working through problems kind of calms me down. Actually working on my car, doing metal work and welding and that stuff tends to calm me down. My main things are my environment has to be nice, meaning not cluttered, and I need to know where my tools are. There needs to be no nonsensical stressors, because for whatever reason that can really turn the whole thing sour. If I go look, if I have to search for an angle grinder or a 3-inch cutoff wheel for a half an hour, I'm ruined. But yeah, man, that woodworking stuff, it was not calming because I was super stressed that it wasn't going to turn out good, and I had so much invested in it, time and money wise, for me at the time anyway. I mean, a lot of money for me. I was really stressed it was going to turn out like crap and I wasn't going to be able to use it. But I guess the process was a little bit though.
Oh, Eagle Eye Shooting says he only reloads during live chats now. Well, you're on enough of them. You got to be reloading at the same time.
I think I've watched Kenny reload about 10,000 rounds all load. Warsaw says that the next pistol he wants is the Taurus PT92 over a Beretta 92 FS. Shot one at the range and loved it. They're fixing to build a Taurus plant over here right down the road from me. Basically, it's not right down the road, but it's like an hour away. And I'm glad that you like it, and I'll keep my eye out on it because I've been wanting to. I liked old Taurus revolvers. I want to say it was before their second shutdown. It's hard to keep up because that company's gone through a lot. But I really like the revolvers, and then some of the stuff that they did engineering wise, I didn't care for. So I'd be really happy to come back with something that's Taurus that I like because they are investing in American manufacturing, and I'd like to try that. But
when I went to the NRA show back when they were in Atlanta, I forget when that was. It was 16 or 17. Taurus had a booth there, and I was checking out their new 1911s, and they were pretty dang nice. But as far as Taurus revolvers, if they would go back to the pure Smith & Wesson designs that made them famous, they would be a whole lot better off in my mind.
Yeah.
So Phil Mesh says, "Are you saying that my shop is a mess?" I made it a mess. Like that place was much more cleaner before we got my Chevelle in there. Now it's kind of like kind of hard to move.
Buzz said that the Dylan calendars tend to relieve his stress if he ever has any.
Man, I'm telling you, I need to get one, but I'm waiting to get an actual Dylan before I get a calendar. I don't want to be a poser. I think Uncle Jim said something about those 92s not having a decocker. I'd like that for me. I wouldn't like that for her. I like a decocker for her. Reloader's workshop program? No, Andre, I haven't. I remember some old Hornady, and I think Lee even had something that it was on disk that you could load information onto. But I haven't. I don't use any software. I know Kenny uses quick loads. I know some other people do.
I've got a notebook.
Yeah, I that's what I do. I keep notebooks. I've got a notebook, and I've got a binder, and I've got it's a 3-ring binder that has like sheets in it, and you can actually I put targets in there with certain loads just to kind of to keep track of what I'm doing.
You told me that, and I think that's a fabulous idea if you've got the right size targets and one of those little 3-ring hole punch things.
Yeah, we use the plastic sheets. You know what I mean? Where you can. So the plastic sheets allow me to slide the load data sheet in there, and then I can just cut out. Well, I know that sounds so bad, but I mean my targets usually are only the part where I shot's only a couple inches, so I can just cut that out and throw it in there and mark on the back of it what it is. But I only keep track of what works. Man, I keep track of what doesn't work because I have a great example of my brain doesn't work all that well. Like memory is junk for me, so I have to rely on present me versus past me quite a bit. I have 2 different loads of my 45 ACPs, and I don't know why. Like I have no idea why I did it. And when I've got stuff written down that says that I did it and that my results were fine, but why I changed out of a load that I've been using for I don't know 5 years and changed that load, I don't know, but I did, and seems to work great, but no idea why I did it. Georgia boy killed a fox squirrel with a horn.
You didn't see that video? You got to check that video
No,
out.
I hadn't. That sounds great, man. That sounds
He
great.
was talking about he needed to take it, have it mounted. And I said, "Yeah, man, you need to have that mounted. I've been here all my life. I've never shot a unicorn squirrel."
Unisquirrel. Have you ever killed a rabbit by getting close to it or stepping close to one? Did that once. I think it was once. Yeah, the kid almost stepped on a rabbit and has a heart attack and dies. Never a unirabbit though. That would be crazy. Oh man, unicorn squirrel. Oh, so what keeps you reloading outside? Because I mean, right now, Kyle, you're kind of. It's not like you're shooting a lot of super high, cost stuff, and I don't think you're doing any like competition. So what keeps you reloading right now?
I've evolved through my reloading into shooting very expensive stuff, and I can reload it a lot cheaper than I can buy it. I mean, you're looking at a 245 grain 44 Magnum right here, and you're not going to pick these up cheap. Here's some. Actually, those are 285. These are 245. You're not going to pick that up cheap, and I'm really liking my newer firearms. I still shoot my big rifles and all that. I don't go to the range nearly as much as I used to. I'm waiting on the shooting property to open up, and right now what I'm trying to do is load up a stockpile of stuff to take down there and just blow up over a course of a week here in, I don't know, about 3 weeks, and just have a lot of fun. I want to have to take entire gun cleaning kits down there because they will get dirty enough to malfunction while I'm down there.
More snakes just aren't going to cut it. I want the whole shebang.
I want the whole shebang.
Yeah. I was telling her that I'm going to try to kit her out to her shooting bag. She got a Cabela's shooting bag. It's nice, by the way. I try to kit it out so that she can just snatch that up and go shooting with one of her friends who's a police officer. I was telling her about, you can put a boar snake in there. She's like, boar snake? What is that? That sounds terrible. Like, yeah. They're terrible if you rely on that to be your only means of cleaning your gun. Then they are terrible.
Uncle Jim, did you just hashtag?
Absolutely.
Or did he Octothorpe?
One thing I wanted to say here before we go too much further, guys, I have seen the number 50 flash up several different times tonight. Wow. Like, guys, we've always been surprised when we see 40, and to see 50 is huge. Thank you very much for coming out. We appreciate it. We love having you. It's great to see everybody every week, and great to talk with you guys in the side chat and stuff. So thank you very much. I appreciate everybody coming out for sure. So what about the difference between what about the difference between shooting or reloading for handguns versus like rifles and like semi-auto rifles? Do you guys think that there's a point in which kind of a break-even point on each one that's different? Let's say you were going to shoot 9mm handguns, you might be less apt, like 380s, versus it's taken me all this time to finally get 380 dies, even though I've had a 380 for a long time, because it wasn't, I could buy a box and I'd be fine with it. Where if I'm going to buy a rifle, I'm going to immediately buy dies with it immediately. Is that the same thing with you guys, or?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we generally start, the way our mind works is we usually start pricing dies and stuff before we put the money down for the rifle.
Man, it's funny how much of a difference that makes when you think that way. Because I do the same thing as far as like when I look at a gun, I might be able to get the gun for $500, but then $30 for dies, another $40, $50, depending on how I want to go, up to $60, $70 for mold, and then all my sizing dies and all that other stuff that go into it, and then and expanders, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, that $500 gun's now reached out to about $800 by the time I'm ready to actually shoot. So I'm 450 Bushmaster is going to be one of those ones that's just the initial investment is going to be one thing, but getting brass and everything else is going to be
Well, I was looking into the Bushmaster and the 458 SOCOM, and I was like, no.
No. Mid-South actually has 450 Bushmaster.
Nathan, you just hit 50.
I see 52 on here actually, which is ridiculous.
I see 51 now. Okay.
Yeah. I appreciate it. It's amazing. I'm a little kind of dumbfounded. I'm actually starting to get a little flush. I'm like,
that's a new record, brother.
That's a huge new record for us. Like Jamie said, no football. You see what no football does?
no football, no problem.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think there was somebody we wanted to have on as soon as football season was over. But yeah, 450 Bushmaster Mid-South Shooter Supply has listed once fired 450 Bushmaster brass. It's out of stock right now, but they'll let you back order it. I need to put that in because there's a big difference in cost. And I'm thinking with a straight wall case, my case length or my case life is going to be much longer. Hopefully. Warsaw, thank you. That actually 243 Outdoors made that for me and sent it to me. I was amazed, man. It's just how nice and how generous this community is. We were talking about wood. I was looking at some wood flag things, and I think it was on Slack, and he's like, "Hey, I used to make those." And I'm like, "That's amazing." You know, we talked about it a little bit, and then next thing I know, it showed up in the mail. So, if you feel so inclined, just go over to 243's latest video and just tell him, that Nathan said thanks for his flag.
Old Johnny's Reloading Bench stopped by to say hello.
Hey, brother, how's it going? I was just looking through some of your Grendel stuff the other day. That's something I'm considering. I think West Desert Shooter and us were talking about that, about long distance, whether or not the Valkyrie or the Grendel would be better. But now automatic rifles, I know there's a lot of people that like 223 and stuff that don't reload and they have no interest in it because they can just buy cases of ammo like AK and 223 stuff. So I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons I still reload. One of the things that keeps me hanging on. It ain't been that long ago till I bought y'all know the era I come from. I bought a box of Remington Corlocks.
Is that the Jurassic era or the Paleolithic?
I knew it was coming some way or another.
I'm old, guys. I remember the Civil War, remember? Anyway, I bought a box of Remington Corlocks, which was the standard back then. And out of those, that 20 round box, 10 of those did not go bang. I had half of them were duds. And I thought to myself, I ain't much and I don't know anything about reloading yet, but I can do better than that. I can at least make them go bang. And to this day, I know, Nathan, you like them, but I will not buy Remington primers to this day because of that.
Look, hey man, I can understand that because it's the Remington Thunderbolts or that are like a waste of a 22 case.
It was nick the side of it and nothing happens.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I've had really good luck with Remington primers, which it would generally lead me to believe that they are outsourcing them, but the way that they're packaged is so different than everybody else. I think they might be in-house, but I've had really good luck with them. Yeah, Tread says he's also interested in 6.5 Grendel. It's something that I'm looking at, man. But that whole automatic rifle thing, or semi-auto rifle, I've seen that have a big impact on whether or not somebody reloads. And the step up usually for them is 308. If they go and get an M14, next thing you know, it's like, yeah, I'm going to start reloading. Yeah. Crap goes from being like, $5 for 15, 20 rounds to $5 for 5. That's when it gets serious, I think.
I mean, I reload for 223, and I have a lot of success with it. Not a lot out of the Lee 55 grain bullet, but out of jacketed bullets and stuff like that, it's a lot. It's a lot of fun. Just strap your little turret press to the picnic table at the shooting property. Run your, shoot 5, maybe 10 rounds. Make some ladder loads up, then start playing around with it. Start hand weighing your powder and just load it right there and shoot it. And you can have a load worked up in about 2 hours. It's great.
I'm determined to make that 55 grain Lee bullet work in my AR, and probably too with my Mini 14, because I tried to make a trade and it ain't working out. So
Yeah, we were talking about that last night.
I got.
I need to. We need to go mini 14 shooting.
We can do that.
Well, I got to work tomorrow, so.
That dog has to work. You hear him?
I'm sorry, it's my neighbor's dog, man. They
No, I'm with you. Hey, man, at least I don't have the wrestling ring going on tonight.
yeah, that was hilarious.
I see 55 now, Nathan.
Guys, that's
And-
amazing.
You know, I remember what Jamie was saying about it is disheartening when you go buy some commercial ammo and you load up. Just say you buy 50 rounds and 3 of them don't go off. It is you know, because what do? You just go back to the store like, hey, I bought a box of 50. These 3 don't work. They're gonna tell you to go fuck off. You know what I mean? And just to be honest, that's, you know, so what do? Do you contact the company? You know, me, customers always right. Do you contact the company and say, hey, look, I bought a box of 50 rounds, 3 of them didn't go off. These people gonna ask you, well, what kind of gun were you shooting it in? And you like all of that, you know. So that was another reason that I got into it, because, you know, it is a little sad when, say, you go buy a 500 pack, a bucket of 9mm or whatever round, and you get 10% that don't go off. That's, you know, you got to think, hey, has the quality of work, or, you know, the item they're putting out, and then that's when you say, hey, I can do better than this. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it has its pros and its cons about stuff, especially if you got, for me, as a new reloader, all the help and the support from guys in the side chat and on this panel, that the guys was super awesome to help me with stuff. Hey, if you need this, you can call me. If you need this, you know, Nathan was like, just don't call me at 3 a.m. You know what I mean?
Hey,
But,
this is in 57.
Yeah,
The
it's
support the support is
I'm watching,
definitely
man.
there. I wanna
I'm
say.
getting a little like flushed, like
You're starting to look like Jamie the other night.
yeah. Next thing you know, I'm gonna be all red faced, kind of
Breathe in, breathe out.
yeah, man, that's crazy, dude.
There's that man
I
out
haven't.
there.
I've been lucky. I have not had malfunctions with more than 1 round out of a box of rifle ammo. About the only person I would think could get their money back would be Slim Cowboy, just because of his battles with Walmart. He just won't give up. That man's tenacious. But yeah, I haven't had that too bad, except for 22s. Oh, God,
I've had plenty 22s not go off. Yeah.
I went through
Actually,
22s.
I haven't had a whole lot of problems with 22s. Most of the 22 that I bought was back when it was $9 for a brick of 550.
See, that's what it is, man. Like they're
garbage.
like the new 22s are really bad. Like I try to stick to Federals now, and they're not the most accurate. Remingtons are still the most accurate, but the problem is every third one goes click.
Yeah. But you can put them back in the mag, and maybe they'll go off.
Yeah, put them back in the mag, twist them, you know, so that they don't hit in the same spot. Maybe hold my tongue just right. There's a goat out there. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Hey, Odd Todd, glad to see you. New Texican. I'm gonna give a little bit of a rundown here, guys. We got 76 High Boy in the chat. Armament Axis, Big Al, Big Texican, Fuzzy Fork 8, my man. Appreciate you coming out. V Borg, JCM 45, Tin Man. Hey man, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. MCK Insight Freedom, William C. Chapin, that's with a C. Tread, Duckville, Missouri, Warsaw Patriot, Crazy Scotsman. Brody 556. What's that?
You mean C as in Q?
Yeah, as in Ice Cube. Not Ice T. It's a very different person. Cranky Cletus, brother from New Jersey. Glad you can make it. Alan B. Pro. Some people seem to know a better way of doing this than actually just scrolling through the chat. I need to figure out what that is. Sean Tierney, glad you can make it, brother. Because I forget people because I'm trying to scroll through here and hit everybody and not do super duplicates. Johnny's Reloading Bench, Vanessa Kitty, Loads of Bacon, Thomas Pickering, Daniel God is my judge. I think I said Tread earlier, but Tread, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, guys, look, it's ridiculous. I mean, we've had 55 up to 58 viewers at times tonight. I really do appreciate it. Glad you guys can make it. Especially, tonight we're kind of talking about a topic that's probably a lot of us, being that this is mainly a reloading channel, have already started. But I think it's interesting when you talk about different people and why they get into something, right? Because maybe you can look at something a little bit different in the way you do it, and that happens for me. Yeah, Coach Brothers, I agree with you, man. I'm gonna have to go back through here and make sure that I'm subscribed to everybody, because I know there's people here that am not subscribed to, and it's going too fast for me to be able to catch everybody. Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think, Jamie and I typically have a lot of the same things that we do and kind of the reasonings. Chico was a little bit different in that he started in with like, I'm going to mass produce 9mm on an industrial scale, which isn't a bad idea. It's just I worked up to that. Like he started there, right? I worked up to the idea of mass producing 45 ACP so that I could shoot as much as I want. I didn't start there, but it just depends. Like I think it's because I started with such a rifle slow shoot. I remember days of going out with my dad where I would take like the Brit, and I would shoot like 10 rounds. I thought I had done something that day. Like I did that for a long time. Like I didn't want to shoot a whole box of ammo because then I'd be out. I don't know if you guys have ever, but because I only had that same box. I might have had 2 boxes of 3 or 3 British ammo that I used the whole time I was a teenager, shooting out of that gun anyway. So I don't know, man. I think that's why I didn't shoot a lot until later on. Now the past year, I probably haven't shot nearly as much as I did years past, but got a live round stuck in a chamber before. Oh man.
Yes.
I've had hang fires, and then the worst hang fire, I think it was the 4570, my dad's 4570 rolling block. It was either that or like the 43 Mauser, or it's possible it might have been something else. But yeah, I mean, it was like bang or a click. And then like 5 seconds, boom, then it would fire. You're like, God bless, this ain't gonna work.
That's dangerous right there.
It's 45. I'm pretty sure it was a 4570, and it's because it's basically the way the powder's laying in the case and not using fiber fill. It was just we fixed it. Like, the next time we basically fixed what we were doing, load procedure it. I don't think I've ever had one. I've never had a bullet lodged in a barrel. I've been super lucky there. I don't know if you guys have had that happen, but
I have. Squib load.
Yeah, I've yet to have that. I've had a squib load, but it exited the barrel.
Well, I've had one stuck, and you hope when that happens that you have enough sense to realize what has happened, and then you hope you have another firearm, or your shooting day is pretty much over at the range, because you don't want to be clearing that out while you're at the range. I wouldn't anyway.
Well, you can get them out. My problem was, me and a bunch of my friends were out shooting, and no relation, but my buddy Nathan starts shooting his 40 cal, and I hear it just make a weird sound, and he kind of looks at it sideways and then takes aim again. Of course, I reach up there and grab the dang thing. I'm like, you have a problem, sir. And we took it apart, and sure enough, bullet made it about that far down the barrel.
Yeah.
It was
factory ammo. That's the weird thing. It was factory ammo, and it's like that one didn't get any powder, and the primer just went, and that was it.
Warsaw Patriot asked if I've had any problems with aluminum or steel cased ammo. I personally haven't, because I don't shoot that crap. I've never heard. I have yet to hear any problems with it in a handgun. But I know that the old stuff had a varnish on it, and like especially the AK stuff, or SKS stuff, your chamber get hot, and that thing get to sticking and ripping the rims off of cases and stuff like that, and it was a mess. I don't know if that's still a problem or not. Because like I said, I've never had it because I don't shoot it, but I know it used to be a problem. I would see that quite often. I'd see those steel varnished 7.62 by 39 cases with the with the rim ripped off of it, and
And then your day's done.
yeah, then your day is done. I mean, I'm fortunate in my range a lot of times, I'm kind of off by myself a little bit. And if I had a stuck one in a barrel, I've got a cleaning rod and stuff like that, and things in my bag. I can get it out. But if I did, I'm not going to shoot anymore, right? Because I'm going to stop and I got to hand check every bit of that ammo to find out why that just happened.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention go make sure that the gun is now perfectly clean and it wasn't something to do with that or anything like that.
Yeah. We had yeah, I mean, it very well might have been designed for that Warsaw. I don't know, man. The Soviets used it, but I can tell you the Soviets when I was a kid wasn't exactly what we were going to go for. We were going to try to do a little bit better than that. But no, I know a lot of it was what it was designed for, but I think that the varnish stuff might have changed and might have aged, so we ended up getting a whole bunch of old ammo at some point. That I don't know, man. I just know that I heard a lot of problems with it not that long ago, but that could be outdated information because I don't use it. Yeah, polishing the chambers. Like I said, I've had pretty good luck so far. Anyway, I haven't had anything.
Steel cased ammo, and then had oversized chambers, and the steel case doesn't expand like the brass. Yes, it does expand, but not as bad as the brass. So a lot of times their chambers were so dang sloppy that even if there was a problem and you blew the side of the case out, it wouldn't stick in there.
Yeah. The 9mm aluminum case ammo. See, I usually go for brass. If I'm going to go buy ammo, like we had, because Loaded Cap Guns, her 9mm that we got for Christmas, we had to go buy ammo because I didn't have my sizer yet. And I went and bought brass. Like, I don't buy the aluminum or the steel case if I can help it. It's funny. One of the things we were talking about earlier before we went live, she was over here kind of reloading some 9mm, and it was really interesting to watch somebody who's relatively new to reloading. I just showed her a couple different things, and I was watching every time she powdered that case, she'd get up and look and make sure the right amount of powder was in there. Which I was like, I love that, because I mean I've seen older reloaders just relying on thinking that it was going to go good without looking. And the other thing I was talking about, this comes back to that stuck bullet thing. I told her, when you actually load your ammo, you put it in rows, so you could, if you have a problem, you could chase that problem back to where it started, and then you don't have to look at the rest of them. And that's something that, unfortunately, with batch loading, like I tend to do with my 45 ACP, I get a bad one in the bunch. I have no idea what, at what point that was. Phil Metzer says steel cases tore the extractor out of his 45. I know the 45. My Kimber's got a really tight chamber in it, and the Rock Island Armory 45s seem to have a really tight chamber on them. I don't know. I don't know about the 9s. Her CZ seems to have a pretty tight chamber in it.
Mine does too. I've got a Taurus PT 111, and when I reload 9, a lot of them will chamber in the Taurus, but not in the CZ. You have to seat them a little bit deeper. And when that happens, you got to start checking your chamber pressures and stuff. Fuzz says he watches us so he can hear our Southern accents.
Well, thank you, Fuzz.
I'm just wondering what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Jamie. My CZ also has a tighter chamber than my other 9mm pistol. So when I load for 9, I load it all to my CZ, and it's going to work in the other 9mm I have.
Exactly. So. And I have this thing, and I've showed y'all this before. I have the Lyman. What would you call that?
Case gauge.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any rifling down in there. So it's not a true chamber. You know,
Yeah.
you got to get that bullet seating depth right, and that's why you can't go wrong using the barrel out of your firearm as a test chamber.
Yeah, it's
Did y'all read High Boy's comment? The two main reasons for squib loads: progressive presses and running fast burning powder at the minimum charge. And he's right.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm doing that right now. We're running 3.3 grains of tight group in that 9mm. That's starting load. It's 9mm though. It should be all right, I think.
And on that, Nathan, the max is like 3.8, ain't it? It's like it's very, very minimal.
Yeah, it's a pretty narrow one. I think it's 3.7, 3.8, depending on. I think there's two different ones, but yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir. Man, squib loads are kind of, to me, somewhat terrifying because when we went to the range last week, there was a guy down at the rifle range. I'm going to guess and say it was a 223 by the way it sounded. I mean, he was just mag dumping after mag dumping. And I was thinking to myself, like, do I have the stones to do that with my own reloaded ammo? Like, I have confidence in my ammo, but how much confidence do you actually have? Like, do you have enough confidence to mag dump? Like, you know, because if you have one that squibs, it's too late. You know? I don't know. Because I don't shoot like that, but I don't know, man. I like to know, you know. Coach says he likes the tight grip in large cases. Interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Let's show. Oh, come on. Yeah, sorry about that. Warsaw, somehow or another your thing went into, and I ended up accidentally hiding that comment. Yeah, he said that he saw somebody basically blow up an M1 from being an idiot, and yeah, that's unacceptable.
Do I hear graham crackers?
Oh man, that sounds good. You're gonna have to bring up the sheriff with the whole class, right?
Yeah, especially with some peanut butter.
The whole class.
Mr. Coach, tight group's one of my favorite powders, but you're right. In 9mm, I think at 4.3 grains, 3.4 grains, I get it confused. But yeah, it's a little scary with that little bit of powder in there. But they say that one of the attractions for tight group is that it doesn't matter the position of the powder in the case, that it's going to go off, and it's going to go off well.
Yeah, you know, interesting. I was loading last night some 9mm, just a whole bunch of stuff with a proven bullet and a proven load, and I was reading into some different manuals I had, and it was saying, you know, if you load and shoot right away, that load may be hot unless you wait a little while. Or it was something, and it was talking about the orientation of the powder in the case, Jamie, if you know what I mean, and Nathan. And I was like, you know what, that's normally about right, because normally when I load, I'm only going to the, you know, I'm not like you guys can walk outside your back door and shoot. Well, I could, but the police will show up. But, you know, I have to go to a range, and that's normally when I have free time. So I'll load up some ammo, and it may sit 4 or 5 days before I shoot it. So I can kind of understand that. But I was reading something. I heard about that, Jamie, when they were talking about the position of the powder in the case. I think they were saying you roll your ammo around or something. Y'all familiar with what I'm talking about?
I mean, look, I know something about powder position in cases, but it's mainly a rifle thing. I don't worry about it too darn much in a pistol, except for to say that some powders do like more space than others. And like I told loaded cap gun, I mean, if you are going to load, it's always best to set yourself up in a situation in which you can't double charge without overflowing the case. But right. That's just a double check to make sure that you're not screwing something up. As far as a pistol or a handgun cartridge, I can't imagine the case density changing Because as soon as you pick that round up, or it feeds, or it goes any moves at all, that changes.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I do know that like your bullet hardness changes over time. I know temperature has a big difference on some powders. Some powders are really temperature sensitive. I don't know. I've never run into that, man. I haven't run into that one.
I was reading this, and this was in the Lee book, and it was just an article. I was just, reading a lot of stuff, when I have some downtime, and it was basically saying like, if you load something in the winter and go shoot it in the summer, it may be a little hotter. And I was like, so I started flipping back, like, hold up, I missed something. Let me check this out. So,
well, that's definitely true, but that's a temperature thing.
Okay, yeah. So when you said temperature, I was like, okay.
Yeah, temperature has a big thing to do that. 76 High Boy was talking about, powder migration to 45 Colt. Yeah, that's why I shoot Trail Boss in my cowboy type loads, and then I've got full house big boy loads for my other stuff. It's not playing around. There's not a lot of room in there.
Johnny's reloading bitch. Yes, sir. I do read the manual. He said
yeah,
it's weird.
yeah, that's ridiculous. How do you expect to keep your face on if you're going to go ahead and read manuals and such? Yeah, no, I wouldn't do it. Shooting handguns underwater because I have no reason to do it. Like I've never had any kind of like vex with a dolphin or anything.
Never seen it fast. I couldn't land with a hook. So.
Yeah, if I'm in the water with a snake, I need to shoot. The first thing I need to do is get the hell out of the water.
Correct.
Shoot. No, I just haven't run into that, man. I'm not. I know that. What's that? Mac does some stuff like that. Does some different things, tests like that. You might want to look at something that he does. Military Arms Channel.
I was gonna look what you wanted to, and then bring it in here.
Dolphin tastes better with bacon, brother. Everything tastes better with bacon. I made some like chicken using Ozark Spirit rub the other day, and wrapped it in bacon. Just ridiculously good. I'm assuming that a little bit of bacon and a little bit of that Ozark Spirit would make, even a possum go down well. Ain't that right, preacher? Unicorns don't care about case capacity.
Good on their own. They're greasy enough.
What if you shot a unicorn in the horn?
Hey, Big just asked a very good question. How shaky were you when you fired the first reload that was yours?
Always.
Chico, I'm gonna let you take it.
Yeah, and Big Al and a lot of you guys seen when I did that live stream, I was on the way to a range, getting ready to shoot some new 45 loads, and I had to go live just in case I wasn't gonna see nobody no more. And I was like, look, I just load up some 45, and is it me or me? I'm nervous every time I shoot, but after the nervousness is over, I get the satisfaction of like, damn, I did that right, or I did something right. You know what I mean? Because I still got my fingers and my gun still in contact. So you're gonna be, my opinion, you're gonna be nervous every time you work up a new reload. And that's just my opinion about it. I think a lot of the guys had commented on my video and was saying, yeah, man, I'm the same way. So I was like, okay, I don't feel so much like a rookie, But you're gonna be nervous, I think, Big Al.
Well, it depends on what your first reload is. And Al, I think you're loading for rifle. So when I first fired off my first 308, I started loading for 308. Now I went way low. Like, this may not come out of the barrel. I just want to make sure that everything's okay. And it actually wasn't that bad. And I was like, well, there's a hole in the target now, so I guess we're okay. Must have done something right. And then the bad part was I was working up some ladder loads for a Hornady 208 grain AMAX in a 308, which that's a hot bullet. And my gun didn't like it until I got to the compressed load. I'm 1/10 away from max. And my gun will put it through the same hole. I'm like, okay, this isn't comfortable, because when you're seating that bullet, you hear it going, it's a funky feeling.
I don't know as if I can remember the first reload I did. One, because it was probably when I was a kid, but even as an adult, like left to my own devices by myself, doing reloading without having anybody around. I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm sure it was a rifle load because my first set of dies was 8x57 Mauser and 303 Brit were my first two set of dies. I'm sure it was one of those two. Now, I'll tell you now, when I try experimental stuff, when I'm off paper, I start getting super nervous. I start getting tied to a tire nervous. But if I'm on paper, I don't worry about it too much. When I say on paper, I mean when I'm actually going off of published load data, like I know my bullets right, I know my bullet shape is right, I know my powder, all that stuff is right. I feel good. But if I'm having to work off of that, like I'm somewhere else working on something like if I'm going to try to load like let's say a 180 grain bullet in my 450 Bushmaster, I'm now off paper. Like there's no load data, I'm sure, for that. I'd be nervous. I'd be really nervous trying it. Yeah. No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Johnny Reload says, I've had a ton of new people tell me they were loading way below min because they were scared. Man, that is so dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Not even for society.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely stay in the range. I never go below because I'm kind of like low is real bad if you want to get something stuck. I would assume, but I definitely stay within the range. I stay off the max, but
here's my experience, which is minimum on this kind of stuff. But look, if you make a hot load in most modern, let's say in most modern guns, a load that's probably too hot, you're gonna split a case. You're gonna have gases escaping. It's gonna get in. But one that's undercharged and does one of its stupid explosive maneuvers, you're wearing the gun. Mm-hmm. No, I'm more worried about an undercharge nowadays than I am probably. I mean, I'm worried about them both. But good grief, man. That's, starting off super low below starting pressures.
I don't think midways in good loading data.
Yeah. I don't think fast powders is bad about that. Because, I mean, I've made some reduced loads. Trust me, I've made some serious reduced loads. But it's when you start mixing that slow powder and low pressures and stuff like that, it becomes a pipe bomb.
Big Al had an interesting question, and I tried to answer it. He said, do you generally find more accuracy at the upper limits of the SAAMI range? And I wrote, generally speaking, yes, and more so with some powders. Like
it all depends on the harmonics of the rifle.
4064 particularly was one that I've used, and it seemed like the more powder I put in there, the better it shoots. And there's some powders that and some cartridges that it's going to be very hard for you to overcharge to the point of danger, some particular cartridge, but you never go above the maximum load data, except unless you're Johnny's reloading bench and he can get away with it.
Because he's not scared to blow his face off.
There you go. Johnny, we love your stuff, buddy.
Jamie, come on over here, man. You need some of this in your life.
Hey, you know what? Sorry. We waiting on someone to answer a question.
I was going to talk a little bit more about what
Jamie just said. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. What Jamie was just saying here.
Go ahead. We're listening.
Well, I'm trying to think about. Here's what I would say. Like, if you're trying to shoot long distances, then you're going to need that speed. And then to need that speed, you're going to have to be already at that edge. And then you're going to be working with powders that like to be at the edge. 4064 is a great example. At least in my experience, it's been an example that tends to like to be hot and not a lot of case capacity left. It needs to be loaded. I'm not going to say tight, but it likes to, the tighter the better. However, I have found numerous different times that lighter loads shoot better at 100 yards. Now, when you start walking that out, it's going to come to pieces because you just don't have the speed to keep the bullet stable. But I've seen it many different times where I can work up a starting load with rifles, and at 100 yards, it shoots great. And you start, and then you start loading that up, and then your accuracy will go to pieces. Accuracy nodes can exist at different points of the pressure curve. It depends on the powder, the case, the bullet weight, the bullet size. Depends on so much stuff. And it depends. I know Al works a bit with autos. You want to make sure that you're able to function. And because if you make a reduced load and the thing won't function in action, then it's no good. So I'd say it depends. It's not generally, in my opinion, that the best accuracy is going to be at the very top. I think that's a spot where you can find accuracy if you need it up there. If you're looking for bullet expansion, it just depends on what you're doing. But if you're punching holes at 100 yards, I don't think that's the best bet to go. I think the best bet to go is to find a reduced load that shoots really good in your rifle. It saves your shoulder. You can put a lot of practice time down, and you can save a little bit of money. But that's my take on it.
And like Kyle said, and like Johnny's reloading bench has shown, it depends a lot on the harmonics of the barrel and the gun as well. Now, what were you going to say, Chico?
Brody 556 had a question, and I've even ran into that, but I was gonna let you guys answer. He says, so if you guys have a cast load with a bullet that doesn't fit the minimum overall specs, as in you have to seat the bullet deeper in the chamber. I mean, you have to seat the bullet deeper to chamber it. How do you figure out the starting load?
Yeah, I just wrote down, it can get hairy. It depends. Like, I don't want to say common sense, right? Read your books. And when you've read your books through, you'll start to get a working idea of how this whole thing goes. Certain powders are going to be more hairy than others. So I have a really good working experience with handguns and Unique. So I have a fair idea, and how much case capacity I'm actually removing. So I'll give you the worst example of this. The worst example of this, in my opinion, is 38 Smith & Wesson. It has traditionally a very long-nosed bullet. However, all of the bullet design, or most of the bullet designs that you'll find for the 38 Smith & Wesson aren't long-nosed bullets. They're short-nosed bullets with a whole bunch of stuff in the case, and the thing already doesn't have much case capacity. So you're going to rate all off the bat, if you're going to have to use that bullet, you're going to have to, you're way off of published load data. Mm-hmm. One of the things I'll do is I'll get on the Cast Bullet forum and start asking questions. Hey, who's done this? Who's done this and not blew their gun up? And then you find something to start off of. And you hope that it's right, and try to double check it with some things. Double check it with common sense. Double check it with what somebody else tells you. Stay away from hairy powders, and stay with powders you have a lot of experience with. I don't recommend going off of load data until you have a lot of experience working with the powder and the bullets and the case to understand what's going on. Most of the time, you're talking about small mounts, and your 10% reduction in start over aren't bad. So if you've got to deep seat your bullet a little bit, you might want to drop it down your 10% and you'll be fine. But if you're talking a lot and you're talking about something that's got tight capacity, it's good to find somebody else who has already started that and tried to go through, or is going through that process, and pick their brain, because it can get really hairy quick. Like I said, 38 Smith & Wesson, I think, is one of the worst. My dad went through that really bad with his. Yes, Uncle Jim, that's absolutely correct. You can shave hairy powders, because that's what they look like. They look like you know, never mind. What did he say? Okay, I just want to read this here, just make sure that okay. You know what isn't common sense? Using a slingshot flare gun to shoot a small 10-gauge shotgun shell and blows up the plastic flare gun. Yeah, I don't think that is, man.
Do you have the parental settings set to toddler? I mean, why did it flag that?
I don't know why it flagged it. I don't know.
That was very odd.
Yeah, I was looking too.
Yeah, I accidentally hid one of his posts because I fat thumbed it and hit the wrong button. But
well, me and you hit at the same time, and I hit show it because I just got done.
Yeah,
and I saw you hit something, and it went away. So I don't know, but
yeah. So Brody says keep in mind case capacity and bullet seating depth below case mouth. Yeah, that's it, man. It's when you're watching that. That bullet seating depth and your case capacity.
It didn't flag Big Al. It didn't flag Big Al's comment. Read that.
Yeah. But Brody, seriously, buddy, with cast bullets, that's something that we run into a lot, is having to see them below the data we have for a particular projectile because they're usually not in the book.
Brother. I'm into no man's land on this baby. This 285 grain cast lead NOE bullet. There is no load data. I am making load data for it. And I'm starting out slow and working up. And Jamie's been there and went, okay, I think you need to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his question because the other day I was on NOE site and I was looking for. I know this is weird. Listen, I was looking for a mode that I could use for 38, 357, and 9mm. But when I started looking at the designs of NOE, the case capacity was different. I was like, I don't want to bother nobody tonight asking these rookie questions about this case capacity. I'm just gonna wait. I was trying to use the 20% off coupon, but I know I said in Uncle Jim's chat, I was like, what's a bullet? One of these modes I want to use for 3 different calibers. I want to use it for 9, I want to use it for 38 and 357. But when I started looking at the design on NOE site about the case capacity, some of those 38, 357 bullets were this long. And I was like, that ain't gonna work in my 9mm cases.
That ain't gonna work in a damn 38 either.
So, I'm exaggerating the size, but if I'm looking at the case capacity, I'm like,
most men do.
I didn't want to bother Kenny. I know Kenny's got all that information on quick load, and I was like, I'll have to figure it out later down the road. Is Uncle Jim still out there? Because I know he has a bullet that Cranky sent him that was a 38 or a 357, and you can use it for 9 also. So
yeah, they almost had me talking to buying a damn 357 Magnum. I'm like, crap.
JRB said earlier that the more case capacity that's full, generally speaking, the more accurate you're gonna get. Yeah. When I'm looking at like loads and I'm trying to find something that's going to be the top of the accuracy, and you're trying to get an idea what powder to use, and this is a general wag, guys. I look to basically fill the case up at the max velocity that's offered. Like, so if I look at all the powders that are listed for that bullet, what powder gives you the highest velocity?
Mm-hmm.
Then I look to see, okay, where's that in relation to actual case capacity? Is that pretty well of a full case? And if it is, then I know that that's probably where I'd start, is with that powder. But if I'm looking to shoot reduced loads, I go to a little bit faster of a powder, and I can usually find a good accuracy area in there for me. But then messing with faster rifle powders can get people in a little bit of trouble too if they don't know what they're doing. So, does powder coating cause any issues with sizing? Yeah, Big Al. Here's 2 ways. One, somebody else in the chat found out, if you take your powder coated bullet and you just go and try to size it through an NOE sizing die without lubing it, you can stick one. Yeah, the powder coating makes a larger bullet. and needs to be sized down. And some of the times, or a lot of the times, you really kind of need to lube it. Just to go through the lubricant, or just go through the lube dye, or to go through the sizing dye. Yeah, you don't want something that's 4 thousandths oversized. And I know other people say they get 1,000ths or 2,000ths on powder coating. I don't. Mine's usually 2 to 4. I use Eastwood powder. I don't think it's gooped on there. I shake mine real good before I put it in the oven. Still comes out 2 to 4. Yeah, exactly. Johnny's talking about reduced loads. He wants fast powder. Yeah, I'll even use wads if I have to try to keep my powder position right. But I have to watch the overall length on that 155 and 9mm seat long. Yeah. Hey, did you guys see? I think Ruger's coming out with a new semi-auto rifle and pistol calibers that they just came out with in December. I saw a picture of it the other day. It's got some name. I never heard of it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it looked neat, man. I saw one. It was on the Facebooks. It was suppressed. It looked neat, man.
Say that again.
It's a semi-auto rifle and pistol calibers, and I think it's made by Ruger. I never heard about it. I think it just was released relatively recently.
Well, they used to have a 44 mag semi-auto built kind of on the frame of kind of like a cross between the Mini 14 and 1022.
Oh, it's like the ranch rifle, the Ruger ranch rifle.
Yeah, but it was a 44 Magnum. I had a buddy that had one of them, and he swore by it. He'd hunt deer with it up until this year. I think he traded it off or something. That would be ridiculous. But yeah, they've done that before. I tell you something that I'm kind of interested in seeing, and I don't know if anybody's heard about it or not, but Mossberg is about to get into the concealed semi-auto pistol handle business. They've got a kind of like a compact 9mm coming out. So that'll be interesting. All
right, so this thing's called it's like the PC carbine, which is hilarious that they would use that term. So it's the politically correct carbine. Uses Glock magazines. It's kind of a takedown. It looks a little bit like it looks a little bit like a Henry survival rifle.
Really?
Yeah. Looks neat, man. I'm trying to see what calibers. Okay. 9. Okay, it looks like it's just coming in 9 right now. But
actually, I'd rather just have it in 22 then.
Well, what I read on the interwebs is that they're talking about it's going to be released in more than just 9. It's eventually 45 and stuff. But that would be a neat little. I don't know. I just think it's 16-inch barrel. I don't know. It'd be like be like an AR without having to build it. I don't know how much the cost is, but looks interesting. Glock mags.
So it does have a 16-inch barrel.
Yeah.
Well,
that 9mm's been out over a year.
Glock mags, so
been out right at a year, Nathan.
Okay, I had not heard about it. I mean, that's you know what? Then that's a fault of Ruger's marketing team.
No, you just don't get out much. You're too busy making die racks and everything else.
That's a good point. I was building a bench at the time. Yeah, and that's fair. JRB says 10 times the price of a High Point for the same performance. If that's true, then yeah, that's a problem. Especially when the High Point has some better.
I don't want to go out shopping for a High Point again. Last time I did, I came home with a Weatherby.
It's running about $450, depending on where you get it.
Okay.
Odd Todd said $475. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, it's better than coming back with an ankle bracelet, which is what I think happens most times when people go shopping for a High Point.
No, I actually went looking for the 45 with the scope and everything. It was like $210. I was like, this will be fun to blow up. And I stumbled into my 308 Weatherby, and I I came home with the Weatherby.
Yeah, Jared says he's just joking. I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't watched anybody shooting on any of them, so I'm gonna have to look that up because I've looked at the high point carbines and really considered them, especially in 10 mil. By the way, I wanted to just a stupid report, but when we went to the range last week, somebody was down there before me with a 10 mil and left their brass for me.
Sweet.
Yeah, you don't see that down very often. Like, I hope that guy's coming to the range every week.
If you've never shot a high point carbine, you need to. They feel like a plastic Star Wars remake, laser gun. They actually shoot pretty dang good. That a buddy of mine bought one and in 40 cal, and I was like, you know what? I'll get one in 45. We can come hang out in the backyard and do whatever. They're actually not a bad shooting rifle. They just feel like plastic buckets of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Glock mags is a big draw for me. Like, I'd rather just build a little AR, especially when FM's going to be putting out the 45 here soon. I'd rather just put my money towards that. But, I've thought about it, man. Something for, like, just to try it out. I don't know.
And I was thinking for $245 to get a scope, all this stuff, I can play around with it. And what we found out, we loaded some 40 cal rounds. Those the ones I sent to Georgia boy. We loaded those up, and they were kind of hot, and we couldn't hit anything out of a pistol. Then he pulled that carbine out, and man, you could write your name with it. I was like, whoa!
That's awesome.
They were way too fast to stabilize in a pistol barrel, but they were beautiful in a carbine barrel.
Yeah, I don't know about the Mossbergs. I hadn't heard about that either, so I'm gonna have to look into that for sure. And Tread says you don't clean high points, which I think is actually true. I think you don't clean them; they just get thrown away, or at the worst, you just like throw them in the bathtub. I don't know. I don't know the proper etiquette. Maybe you spray paint it when it gets dirty.
Did y'all see Taco's video? You may be a high point owner if.
Yeah.
I hadn't made it to that yet. I got home and got real busy, and hell, I had to clean the kitchen up before Angel would make dinner, and so I had to do that. And
yeah,
I watched a couple of videos.
I'm with you, man. That some of the guys are saying that high point just is a fun little gun, and that's the thing when you have something like that. If it's just fun, man, who cares? Like, I don't know.
Exactly, like Brody says, who has a shockwave? What's the point in that thing? It just looks like a fun little gun. But for the money, yeah, man, you can't beat it. That's why I was out just looking for one. I'm like, I'd like to have one in 45 just for the heck of it. Because Worms let me borrow his several times, and man, you can have a lot of fun with that little thing. Chico, you know what that's like, right?
No. I don't have one of everything, man. I'm still shopping around for stuff. Actually, interesting enough, today I went and I looked at about 4 to 5 different 308s. And I was interested in some stuff. Mossberg. I looked at the Savage. I looked at what else?
Man,
what else is
Kenny's bragging on that.
Thompson. I looked at that one. That Savage, they had like 4 different models. Like some of them with a heavy barrels. And
the Savage, actually, a good shooting buddy of mine has one of the Savages, and he loves it. He said, for the dollars, I'll buy 5 more before I step up to some other brand.
Yes. Ocean said the TC Compass. I looked at that one. I looked at a lot of them. So,
it's the Compass. That's right. Not the Encore. The Encore is a little pistol bastard. Yeah.
I asked that question the other day during, I think, their live stream, Chico, as to looking at budget rifles, whether to go with the Ruger American, the Compass, or the Savage. I don't know, man. I don't think there's a consensus yet. I would lean towards a Savage, but I think 243 said the Ruger American, but then again, I mean, he outshot the world with it, so I would assume that's where he would go.
Well, I mean that, and depends on where you go, what you're going to be shooting, what you're going to be doing. The
Yeah.
Ruger American is more made for a longer range. The Savage is here's your caliber and a pretty accurate thing, and you live in Georgia. So I mean,
Fair point.
300 yards, if you can put it in the same hole, you're good.
Warsaw asked about. Oh, sorry, Chico.
No, I was gonna say I also looked at the Mossberg. If you guys, I know Jamie's familiar because he told me about that one. I looked at the Mossberg 308s they had, which pretty interesting. I like the boat on those. So
What model is it?
I looked at a few. They had one that the guy tried to sell me on, but it was like the highest end when it was a Mossberg MVP. It had all kind of. It came with a vortex scope on it, but I didn't care for all that, for that price.
I saw a review last year. The Patriots out of the box shot better than anything else for the money. And I'll pay a little more for some more accuracy. And I had trouble believing that. But we got a couple of questions we need to get to. I can't find them now. Can you help me out, guys?
Well, one of them that I
Warsaw Patriot was asking about barrel length and pistols.
I don't think it was pistols, but I mean, I think we were talking about rifles. And Warsaw asked about rifle barrel lengths, and whether or not a long one was better than a short one. Now, there's some myth to that, right? One of the myths is that a longer barrel is going to shoot better because it's longer. It's not necessarily true. A longer barrel tends to have a longer sight radius, and a longer sight radius will make you shoot better. Now, there is a point where there's diminishing returns, right? Like if I'm going to go for long distance, I'm going to probably look for 22, 24-inch barrel because the longer barrel is going to be a little bit more stable and a little bit bigger. And you're going to get that, so I don't think it's necessarily true that a longer barrel is going to be better than a shorter barrel. Like if you were to march out there with, and you also, here's another thing to keep in mind. Who was it the other day? Was it Johnny? Or was it Josh? Somebody was shooting and their barrel length was too short because they were having pretty heavy muzzle flash. Because they were having pretty heavy muzzle flash because basically unburnt powder.
Right.
So your barrel was too short. I don't remember if that was Johnny or who that was having that go on. That's a case where you're kind of matching your barrel length to your load, right? If you're shooting 22 long rifle, for instance, and you shoot that through a 36-inch barrel, it's not going to get any more accurate. It's going to get worse because your bullet's getting slower, actually, as it's getting towards the end of the barrel. So matching your load and what you're shooting to your barrel length is kind of the game.
Yeah, let me see if I can help you out there. As you want the barrel long enough to let all the powder burn up, but not so long that it creates drag on the bullet as it's being forced down the bore.
Absolutely. And barrel harmonics are hard to get your head wrapped around. It's like witchcraft. Johnny Reload and Bench, if you haven't looked at him, Warsaw, go watch his videos. There's one where he's working on muzzle devices, and the difference in accuracy for apparently no reason. Like there was no logical, like, oh, well, a longer weight at this distance does no. It just seemed to be all over the place. He would find super accuracy with this muzzle device, and then this one over here, it wasn't there at all. And then sometimes it looked like it was the weight. Sometimes it looked like it is really hard to get your head wrapped around barrel harmonics, except for the fact that you're working your load up to match barrel harmonics. Trying to, I don't know how to make it more consistent.
No, that's the best way to put it. And if you're looking for a very specific purpose, you need to understand barrel harmonics and decide on your caliber, decide on your barrel style, decide on your twist rate, then decide on your bullet, and then work up a load. But yeah, you're exactly right. What you're doing is you're matching the effect to the platform. it's not going to always perform beautifully right out of the gate with factory ammunition or your first 12 loads. But eventually, you'll find the powder and bullet combination that works. Sometimes you'll have to work for 2 years to figure it out. But once you do,
oh, you know what's great? I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, Kyle. I've had this happen to me. I've worked up a load that worked finally, like finally, and then temperature changes and then back to zero again, and you're like,
temperature has to do with it, man. I can email you a Excel spreadsheet where you can plug in your current temperature, and it'll show you on a temperature curve what's it's based off of 70 degrees Fahrenheit and you put in your feet per second, and then it's a spreadsheet that you put in the current temperature of the ammunition, not the air you're shooting through. So if you leave your magazine on the dash all day and your magazine's 145 degrees, that's what the bullet's going to shoot at. But it'll show you the velocity curves and all that. And it fathoms the mind, man. I mean, it really makes a lot of difference. I mean, you're talking shooting 1,000 meters, 700 feet per second means a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it changes you're exiting at different barrel harmonics. And then if you go to try to reduce your load to make up for the temperature differential, then you're actually changing your case capacity or your powder density.
Yep. Always try to work your loads up in the exact same temperature. If not, use this chart, plug in, laser shoot your temperature of your ammunition, plug it in, and then you can back everything down from what your chronograph shows if you don't shoot it like Chico did.
Yeah.
And you work up some really accurate ammo tape. Shut up.
Hot kettle. Now another thing on that whole temperature change thing. This is one of the reasons why I started using Hodgdon powders, the H powders, not the IMRs. I started moving towards 4350 and H4895 and stuff like that because they do seem to be a little bit less temperamental. No, dude, Coates, I don't. I have a range down here that is going to be 600 yards once the river decides to recede from it. But I'm not a member there because, like I said, it's underwater a lot during the winter, and they have matches all during the summer. It makes it a pain to get in there. But most of the guys don't. I mean, 300 is usually about as long as you're going to find. The one that I am a member of, usually, it's only 300.
You need to drive up north about 2 hours and let's go shooting.
Yeah, man. I there's a lot of things I want to do. Go shooting. I want to go start going to some of the WMA shooting ranges and kind of like camp for a night and go shooting in the morning kind of stuff. I don't know if I can get her to get on that, but was there any other questions we need to jump on here quick? Because we are getting past 10 o'clock and we need to start thinking about shutting her down here. Talking about the PSA recalling their pistol carbines. I haven't messed with it and I haven't watched anything on it yet. I got so wrapped up with the FMs. I don't know if I'm going to go any other route than that. I want a pistol carbine, and I'm probably just going to go with the FM because I if Uncle Jim loves it, it can't be too bad. Talladega? I don't know, man.
That's about
2.5
2.5 hours from us.
Yeah, and I don't know how I would say technical. I don't know the laws about passing from Georgia to Alabama with rifles and such. I mean, I know that we have a concealed carry kind of agreement with them, but I don't know about other stuff.
There's not
any.
All your rifles and everything have to be unloaded. Your pistols can be loaded and everything's fine. Doesn't matter. You can have them strapped all over the roof of your car, loaded. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be concealed or anything.
Okay.
Viva the South.
Yeah. Warsaw says he's going to head to bed, brother. I appreciate you coming in. Yeah, I'd like to see that I wanted to mention before we go out there, the MiG was bounced on for a little while. I don't know if he's still here, but Measuring Grains, guys, if you don't know him, go ahead and sub to his channel. All right, well, I guess we'll start shutting her down. Guys, I want to mention the Reloaders Network. I don't know if Loads of Bacon's still on here, but he is kind of he's the creator and stuff of the Reloaders Network, and built that for us to be able to go to. I'm going to start utilizing the Reloaders Network as kind of the main source for my reloading videos coming forward. That's something that's going to start taking place here soon. Is that I'm probably not going to be putting my reloading videos on YouTube due to them cracking down on content. So go check out the reloadersnetwork.com. Get on there. If you want to talk with us on Slack, there's going to be a link on the website to be able and show you how to get there and register for a Slack account. So you can talk with us on there. I don't really know what else coming up for me. Just getting back to work, guys. Probably a little bit more 9mm stuff. I got a lot of other stuff in the works I haven't finished, and hopefully I'll get around to. But go around the horn and say what we're all going to have going on here. Oh yeah, and so I don't forget, same Bad Time Sat Bad Channel next week, right? So we ain't gonna be going nowhere. We're probably gonna have a guest on. I'm not quite sure who yet. I got some ideas, but
I got some ideas too.
Good.
And we had a suggestion out in the chat room tonight.
Oh, didn't see.
Go ahead, Chico.
Yeah, guys, thanks for being here. Let me see what I'm working on. I'm loading up a lot of 9mm. I have been extending or playing around with mixing powder coats. So I got these Skittle flavors here. You can call them what you want to call them, but that's about it for me. I'm working on
Mountain Dew King.
Yeah. Yeah, I just been playing around mixing powders. I was interested in that instead of doing just the basic simple colors, and a lot of you guys are familiar with that. So that's it for me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting all your input in on the topic. It was definitely interesting getting other guys ideas and opinions about why I should reload or why I should not reload. So thanks, guys.
Okay, Kyle.
Well, apparently my new name is Kyle Lush. Thank you, Kevin.
Come on, Ed's red. Oh man.
Oh God, he actually typed that. Oh no, I've been busy. I've been real busy. I've been sick. I've been trying to get over all that. I've got some projects in the works. Trying to think. Apparently, the weather is going to be pretty good this weekend to make some videos, so that's going to be good. A couple of people have got some packages coming out to them. Actually, that'll happen tomorrow. Everything's done now. All I got to do is put it in a box and send it off. But guys, I just really appreciate everybody coming out here and just taking a little bit of time out of their, I don't know, Friday night to come spend it with us, because I mean it really means a lot. We have a lot of fun. We cut up with each other. Yeah, sometimes we ignore the side chat, and it just happens. You get caught up in the moment. I mean, it's like Uncle Jim says, society.
For society. Typical.
But we all have a lot of knowledge that we can share with each other. And yeah, the new YouTube rules suck. I'm leaving all my videos there. I'm not going to make any new ones that are blatantly offending them, because I didn't say anything about the last ones that I did. So I'm going to let sleeping dogs lie. But yeah, we're just going to start posting everything private over here and putting it on the Reloaders Network and looking into other avenues that way too. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I just to kind of reiterate a little bit on that. Let me piggyback on that for a minute. Here's the thing, guys. Because of the Georgia shooting connection, and me needing to get back to doing the weekly recaps. That's why I'm gonna be doing the reloading videos on Reloaders Network only. Right? If I wasn't doing these and I didn't care about getting a strike and losing the ability to be able to live stream, if I didn't care about that, I would just keep going until they kick me off. But I care a lot about being able to have my time with you guys, like to being able to do this fellowship with all you guys that I know that are part of the Reloaders Network, that we hang out, the people that I don't know, the people that I'm getting to know, people that are wanting to get into reloading. All of this crap means a lot to me and to these guys on the panel. And it's worth it for me to change the way I'm uploading my videos to try to ensure that I don't get strikes and get bounced off. That's why I'm making the change. We had I saw 55 viewers tonight. That's insane, guys. We've never had that many. I really appreciate everybody coming out.
Up to 58, I think.
You saw 58. That's just amazing. So, Jamie, what do you got going on, brother?
I have the last two preliminary test loads of 35 Remington loaded up, and they are Lever Revolution and Shooter's World Tactical Rifle. So, and we've shot up all of our ugly school bus yellow bullets after this is over. So, for the fine tuning, I'm gonna have to cast some more. Hi boy, if you're still out there, I found this book. If you remember, I won this book from one of High Boy's live chats right when I first started reloading, and it is autographed by Robin Sharpless. He wrote me a little note in there, and I still treasure this, but I'm probably going to be sending it to a new starting reloader to pass the love along and help somebody else. And hopefully when they read it, they'll send it back. Look at that pretty bullet, Chico. And
that's the school bus yellow, I think, sort of.
Another thing I did, can y'all see these? Willie sent me these bullets. These are double-ended wad cutters, and I loaded these up with High Boy on a workshop the other day, so that was pretty fun.
Now, Jamie, show them one more time. Chico, those are loaded with bullets.
What are those?
These are what they call double-ended wad cutters. There's no point on them, except for if you count that little bitty nipple right there on the end of it. Can y'all see that?
Those are fully loaded bullets, Chico.
And their purpose is just to cut a nice hole in
the
paper.
Yeah, it's paper punchers, but it's still pretty cool.
And I think they're loaded with like 3.4 grains of tight group or something like that. Just go poof kind of thing. So I'm going to have the last two loads of 35 Remington, the preliminary stuff, done up here in the next few days. But then again, I think it might be the end of the month because I got something to do every single weekend this month. I've got 8mm brass trimmed and ready to go. So I've got the dies. I've got to get some bullets. I've got to get some. I got to get a trimming stem for my Hornady trimmer. I need to do a video on that trimmer for the Emperor or Mr. Duckville, Missouri. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's something I'll be working on, and I think I too will be moving all my stuff more to the Reloaders Network and putting less and less stuff on Facebook. And just for the record, if you guys want to see some of my videos and YouTube shuts me down tomorrow, you can find me on BitChute as well. And I'll be checking out Gunstreamer. And I'll probably try YouTube again, but I've not had any luck with uploading my stuff to there. But I'm going to try that again. So other than that, I got nothing.
Sounds like an awful lot of something for nothing. Now you're going to go back to try some of those V-Twin Orange after you're done with those yellows, right?
I'm going to try I've got some bullets that MCK sent me. I didn't see him on tonight. I'm gonna have to check on him. He sent me some 111, 138 to 135, something like that. I'm gonna put those in my vibratory tumbler with some of that V-Twin orange and see what happens.
See if you can get something. Yeah.
I really want that powder to work, and it's just not going to do it.
There's got to be a way, though.
Well, you mixed it with something, and we're really excited about that. Did that never come up?
I put it over the top of Copper Penny and over the top of Ford Light Blue, and it turned out great on both of them.
Huh.
But just as a top coat.
Right.
Okay.
Dare Beast, it's time to start talking wad cutters and stretch this thing out a couple hours. Man, wad cutters would definitely do that because I've seen some really good results with wad cutters before. But
I mean, we can't do that, brother. I have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Y'all can have all the fun.
That dude's got to work in the morning, and if I don't go to the bathroom soon, I'm gonna float away. So, look, guys, we had Kyle said 58 viewers on. It's insane. I appreciate everybody being in. I appreciate all you guys on the panel. You know that. I love talking with you every week. I love talking with all the people in the side chat. You really make a lot of this worth it. You know, I'm not saying it's a ton of work, and I'm not trying to bemoan. I like doing this. This is what I like to do. But getting to talk to everybody in the side chat every week puts it all at home. There's actually people out there that are care and interested, and it's just like an extended family or extended friends. And it's a lot of fun. I do appreciate it. But we'll be on next week. Like I said,
I forgot something. Brody said that he doesn't get notifications, and I promised him I would address that. Nathan goes on sometime the day before, or when you schedule the event. You'll have to find that out. And click the reminder, Brody, and you'll get a notification.
Or you hit the bell next to my thing where it says subscribe, and there's like a little bell thing. If you hit the bell, then you'll get notifications when I upload a video. It'll be annoying. I'm not gonna upload 1,000 videos in a day to annoy you, but you get them, every one of them, including the one.
Be annoying.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, sometimes, man, my notifications start going off, and I'm like, okay, and just turn the phone off and set it down. But if any of you guys have any problems with that, just let us know. On Reloaders Network, you can send me a message on here. You can comment to a video or something, or Slack, which is the best way to chat. But guys, I appreciate it. We will talk to you next week, and until then, have a good week and night. Thank you.
Good
night, guys. Have a good weekend.
Guys.